Good morning, the Honorable Ms. Rika Trikumaladewi Magister of Science. Here I am, Rizky Asyamil, would like to present my final exam of food biochemistry. Here is the result of the questions that have been put in LMS. The first case is about the Maxim that increases his weight about 10 kg in amount. He often consumes noodle and blah blah blah. And here is the oatmeal that Maxim eats for breakfast for once a day. From this nutrition facts and the eaten of the oatmeal, how many ATP will Maxim obtain from one serve of oatmeal? The assumption is 1 gram of carbohydrate contain of 75 molecules of glucose, 1 gram of fat contain 15 molecules of palmitic acid, 10 molecules of stearic acid, 2 molecules of glycerols. Also, there is 20 molecules of tyrosine, which is considered as protein. Here, the first one, we want to break down the carbohydrates from the nutritional facts. The total of carbohydrates is actually 8 grams, but there is the presence of the dietary fiber about 2 grams. So dietary fiber is a cellulose or also content of hemicellulose with beta-glycosidic bone. So beta-glycosidic bone is a bone that cannot be directly or human is not being able to break down the beta-glycosidic bone because we don't have specific enzyme of the breakdown for beta-glycosidic bone, so cannot be consumed and go to the further process. So the carbohydrate contents will likely about 6 grams. So the ATP breakdown from the glycolysis, it resulting 7 ATP. Pyruvic acid and NADH will resulting 5 ATP, and also in TCA cycle there is 2 molecule of acetyl-CoA will be resulting 20 ATP. So the total of the carbohydrates for one molecule, it's 1 molecule of the glucose is 32 ATP. Since we have 75 glucose molecules in 1 gram of carbohydrates, so it has become 2400 ATP. And for the 6 gram of carbohydrates, we're resulting about 14,400 ATP from the carbohydrates. Next, for the fats. For the first, we have palmitic acids, but we have notes here that in the activation of the palmitic acid, we need 2 ATP, and there is stage called as beta oxidation, which is that is depending on the carbon atoms that is contained in the chain of the fats. Here we have the first palmitic acid, which is C16H32 and O2. From the C16, we will likely to divide it into 2, so it is resulting X cycles. Here, from the X cycles of the palmitic acid beta oxidation resulting 7 NADH, 7 FADH, and 8 acetyl-CoA. Here resulting 7 NADH and 7 FADH because of the -1, so the formula is N-1. From the X cycle, it is resulting 108 ATP, but first we note that there is 2 ATP needed for the activation, so it is become 106 ATP, and from the 15 molecules, it is resulting 1590 ATP. Next, stearic acid. Stearic acid from C18 resulting 9 cycles. So there are 8 NADH, 8 FADH, and 9 acetyl-CoA. Here, the total of the ATP resulted is 122. But first note that 2 ATP needed for the activation, so it has become 120 ATP for 1 molecule of stearic acid. Because we have 10 molecules of the stearic acid, for 1 gram of the fats, we will likely to calculate it, and it is become 1200 ATP. Next, for the glycerol. Here for glycerol itself, it needs 1 ATP for the activation. So from the glycerol 3-phosphate, it will be resulting DHEP and also 1 NADH, that is resulting 2.5 ATP. And from there, it is entering the glycolysis, resulting 1 NADH and also 2 ATP. It is equal to 3.5 ATP. Next, pyruvate will likely to break down into acetyl-CoA and also resulting 1 NADH. It has become 2.5 ATP. Next, the acetyl-CoA will be entering the TCA cycle, and it is resulting 10 ATP. So the total of the ATP from the glycerol is actually 19.5, but note that the activation needed 1 ATP, so it is become 18.5. Since we have 2 molecules of the glycerol, so it is become 37 ATP for glycerol. So in one day, also we have tyrosine here, which is part of the protein. So in the TCA cycle, protein will be going through, and for tyrosine, I take the examples or the gate of the tyrosine for the entrance. It is from the acetyl-CoA gate. So from the tyrosine, there will be result of 2 acetyl-CoA, which is from 1 acetyl-CoA will be resulted 10 ATP. So if there are 2 acetyl-CoA, there will be 20 ATP for 1 molecule of tyrosine. And here, since we have the tyrosine and also the ATP of the tyrosine and also the 40 molecules of the acetyl-CoA, because we have 20 molecules of tyrosine here, so it is resulting 400 ATP. In the nutrition fact, we can see that there is 14 gram of the protein, so it is resulting the 14 gram of the protein will be calculated to times 400 as the resultant of the ATP from 1 molecule of the acetyl-CoA, and will become 5,600 ATP that we can obtain from the tyrosine consumption or the 14 gram of the protein. So in one day, Maxims would likely to eat the oatmeal, and it is will resulting 22,827 ATP from the breakfast. Next to the case number 2, there is the metabolic pathway here, that there is the malate about 5.25 millimolar. That is maximum. What is the maximum oxaloacetate in order to reaction continues? And the part B, if the malate dehydrogenase is malfunction, what is the minimum malate in order to the reaction always to be continue? Here is the result that I obtained from the number 2A. Here it is use the delta G as 0, and there is the 7.0 kilojoule per mole, and as what it is stated in the formula in PPT that we learn in biochemistry. So I likely to input the numbers, and it is resulting about 3.11 times 10 minus 4 molar, or 0.311 millimolar. And for the part B, since there is the malfunction, so it is the concentration of the malate itself is about 1.687 times 10 and minus 4 molar, or 0.168 millimolar. There is the case number 3 where the salad containing above mango, banana, orange, apple, dragon fruit, guava, kiwi, grape, melons, and papaya. So we need to classify it into which one that is considered as climacteric and also non-climacteric, and explain the differences between those two, and also how to prevent damage of the climacteric fruits. Here the classification is mango, banana, apples, papaya, guava, kiwi, and melon. It is considered as climacteric foods, and the non-climacteric foods are dragon fruit, oranges, and also grape. The differences here, if the climacteric foods, it will be ripened after harvest, and meanwhile the non-climacteric food do not ripen further after the harvest. So the climacteric also shows a sharp rise in aspiration rates, which is in non-climacteric is only like steady, and there is the changes that the climacteric food will become softer, sweeter, and more aromatic, which is in non-climacteric food there is no like such changes, or like very little. Also the very little amount of ethylene production in non-climacteric, or even 0. So to prevent the damage, we can store at low temperature, separate from ethylene producing fruit, use ethylene absorbers, apply control to modified atmosphere storage, handle gently to avoid brushing, use paper ventilation, the proper one, and avoid high humidity variation to prevent microbial growth. And that is for my presentation today. Thank you so much, and I would like to thank Ms. Rico for this one semester.